Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join his mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.
Well, I really appreciate you allowing me to hijack your offices here. Good to be here in Free Burma Rangers.
Thanks.
David Eubank, man, it's an honor. I've known you for, 15 years, I think now. About 19 years. The first time I met you was around the year 2000.
It's 19 years.
19 years ago. Yeah, so you've had an incredible story in life, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm someone who attempts to follow Jesus and share the love he gave me and keeps giving me in spite of my mistakes and sins and failings and weaknesses. And one thing that's really struck me is that God, I believe, wants us to have fun, and we get to do it our way. He gives us the mission, but he gives each human the freedom. Do it the way you want to do it. Do my work. He gives the commander's intent. Commander's intent is that all would be saved, that all would love each other.
That's the overarching goal.
Yeah. I think that's one of God's intents. How we act that out, we're given a lot of freedom in that. And you'll know if it was God's work or not by the fruit of it. You can say you're working for God for these causes, but if it's not love, if it's not reconciliation, then it's probably not what God wanted. So, first, a follower of Jesus, grateful for the freedom that brings. Son of missionaries who are still alive and going. My dad is 90, my mom's 87.
Yeah.
They've been here almost 60 years.
Wow, that's a legacy story.
Yeah, I just was watching football with my dad this morning.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah. So I go to his house at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning?
He wakes up. We're going to watch football. And then
we're on opposite time zones.
We work out together. He's 90. He's doing sit-ups, push-ups, doing stuff in between, the plays. That's what we've always done. And I mean, since I was a little kid, he'd drag me out of bed, by my feet if I wasn't quick enough. We're gonna run. We do push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and go running. And as a little missionary kid, he taught me how to hunt, how to shoot when I was 5, how to swim when I was 5. I got my first horse when I was 5.
Wow, a lot of things happened when you were 5.
Yeah, just kind of the way it worked.
Okay.
But we lived a life of the frontier in those days, in the 60s in Thailand, as a missionary kid in Thailand.
When you say the frontier, you're talking rural areas?
Yeah, rural areas that were west of Bangkok.
It was called Siam at that time, wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember
right
when
at the turning
name
point.
changed.
Yeah, the name changed. I'm not sure. I wasn't old enough to recognize it.
Yeah. When you were 5, you were
Right.
looking at geography maps.
Right, but it used to be called Siam, now become Thailand, the land of the free. And I've been very grateful to Thai people.
Yeah.
Who've taught me a lot of inclusiveness, of welcoming, of graciousness, flexibility, love, respect for everybody. And one thing I love about the Thais, they want everybody to win. So if you have a problem or a conflict, they're not looking for, oh, you're right and you're wrong. It's how can we all win from this?
Wow.
It's a wonderful way of living that I'm grateful to the Thais for.
It sounds very much like ecclesia, or the gospel in action, community of the body of Christ, right?
Right.
We could all learn a little bit of that, I think,
Right.
in our day and age,
You can
particularly
learn
Western
from
Christians.
everybody. Everybody's got something they can share, and you'll know if it's good or bad. You'll feel it and you'll see it. So then, grew up as a missionary kid, went to University of Texas A&M, was commissioned in the Army, was an infantry officer, and then later in the Rangers, 2nd Ranger Battalion, then Special Forces, 1st Special Forces Group. Got out after about 10 years as a major, went to Fuller Seminary.
Yep.
In between, I met my wife, tried to date her, she wouldn't date me, but I took her climbing, serious climbing, Mount Shuxton, vertical ice, snow, the whole thing. And then eventually she said yes after many attempts. In the middle of that, I was invited by the Wa tribe of Burma, this is in 1993 now,
Okay.
to come and help. And so Karen and I got married in Malibu, California on the beach, and then came here and then into Burma, extra legally, threw away the Wa tribes organized because they're in conflict with the Burma army, even though they have a ceasefire. Started working with them in 93. And then the same year saw the attacks that the Karen people and others were under, was invited to help the Karen. In 96, came back to work full-time, met Aung San Suu Kyi in between her period of house arrest in 1996. She asked for prayer, and we started something called the Day of Prayer for Burma. And
Which is still going on to this day.
Still going on every year. The second Sunday in every March is Day of Prayer for Burma. And then at about the same time, in the Karen state, after I came out of Rangoon seeing Suu Kyi, there was a huge offensive in 1997, January. where the Burma army displaced 500,000 Karen, Karenni, and Shan in a huge offensive. A lot of those people fled to Thailand. Many were internally displaced inside Burma. And I remember going into the jungle to help, thinking, I'll help one person, and they'll be glad, and I'll be glad. I have no other plan. God, help me. And as I went, ethnic people started to join us. So later on, we became what we call the Free Burma Rangers. Our main job is to, for me, share the love of Jesus. For the Free Burma Rangers, help people and get the news out. Because you don't have to be a follower of Jesus to be a ranger. You can have any or no religion.
Yeah, that's a unique aspect about Free Burma Rangers. It's multi-faith, right?
Right.
Now, what does that mean? I mean, anyone can just join the organization?
Pretty much anyone. As long as you subscribe to 3 rules.
Okay.
One, you got to be able to read and write. Because to do quality medicine and to report, you got to be literate. So it doesn't matter what language, you got to read and write in some language. And the second is you do this for love. We don't pay the teams. Right now we have 90 teams in Burma, and we've got a team in Iraq and a team in Syria. And most of the team members are not paid. So you do this for love. And then number 3 is physical and moral courage. And that means you can't run if people can't run. So whether you've got a weapon or not, if the enemy, no matter how big the enemy is or small, if they're coming and the people you're with cannot flee, you have to stay with them. That's the only rules there are. And if you join then, and you're a Buddhist, an atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, an animist, a Muslim, you can. Now, people will know right away they were believers. I'm praying to God all the time, especially as the situation gets worse. Jesus, how do we do things?
Yes.
I have one of my very close friends and teammates in the Free Burma Rangers is an atheist. And he's been with us over 4 years. And he was with me in the Battle of Mosul, helped save my life 2 times under fire.
Wow.
And he himself had been shot 4 times in the Battle of Fallujah when he was a Marine. He's not a believer. And he said, Dave, I don't believe in God. But if there is one, you're following him, I'll follow you. And I said, as long as you can trust me, I believe in the invisible God who I talk to with the invisible radio. And I don't just talk to him, I listen. And he informs me what to do. I can't always hear his voice. Often I hear nothing. But at any crucial time, he's always guided me. As long as you can live with that, that's how I'm going to go. Then believe what you want, man. And so we have people of all faiths with us. But if it's not of love, then you can't stay with us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, because none of us are perfect. It means that when you make a mistake, you say you're sorry and try again. And so I believe the role of the Free Burma Rangers within ourselves is the same as the role of the church. Build each other up. Point people towards love. And I call the source of that love God, who sent his son Jesus. We could see him. You could touch him. You could hear him. You could see, when Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So that's where I believe this love comes from. But you don't have to believe that.
I love the simplicity of this. And I also like how you describe this relationship with God in almost a militant, over the radio kind of conversation. Sometimes we're hearing dead static or nothingness. Sometimes you're trying to make out this muffled voice, but he's always talking. And that's what's always struck me about you. I mean, you've been, if you go back to in the jungle conversation or in the rural areas, you've taken some heavy fire, been in some precarious places. Is the Holy Spirit always speaking to people? Do you actually hear God's voice when you're in a real difficult, crazy situation?
Well, I've never been able to, no, I do not always hear God's voice.
Okay.
And I've never been able to control any of it. But it is, I think the radio analogy can be taken a little bit. When you're a subordinate unit, you call the higher. They don't have to answer. They're sending the orders down to you. And if you don't hear from them, you go with the last order that you had. And you go with the commander's intent. For example, in the military, here's the mission. I want you to destroy that bridge. But the commander's intent is that no enemy cross that river. So I have the Pacific destroy the bridge, but I have a bigger picture.
Yes.
No enemy can cross the river. I have no more radio communication with my commander, for whatever reason. I still have my mission. Let's say I get there and I can't destroy the bridge because I don't have the wherewithal. Well, I'll cross it and make another obstacle or do something because I know the bigger picture. So God gives us specific missions to do. And there's always the general mission. Love people.
Yeah.
Obey me. Love people.
Yes.
And we always know that. And you go with the last order that you got if you don't hear God's voice. And if you don't know what to do, love. Jesus, give me love. And then sometimes I believe I've heard God's voice very clearly. I've never been able to engineer those or predict those, but they happen. And they've guided us first into Burma, and then into Iraq and Kurdistan, then into Syria. And for me, it's real.
Yeah, I love that. Now, tell me a little bit more about Free Burma Rangers. It's all started in 1993. I mean, you can kind of hear the nuances of the story. For those who don't know about what's happening in the 67th year of the Burma conflict, I think it is now, 68, something
70th.
along. 70th year.
1949.
Okay, wow, yeah, 70th year of the Burma conflict, ongoing today. Internally displaced peoples, IDPs.
Over 1 million internally displaced.
What does that mean?
Over 1 million people who had to flee their homes, but are still inside Burma,
Okay.
making new homes, hiding in the jungle,
Because
they've been attacked by the Burma army. So Burma is the longest running civil war in the world, 70 years.
Wow.
And a succession of different dictatorships and different Burma governments have consistently attacked the ethnic peoples and try to grind them down, control them, control their resources, and dominate all of Burma with the Burman group. Now, the Burman group is maybe 50 to 60% of the country. It's the biggest single group, but almost half the country are other ethnic groups. So somehow they need to learn how to live and share this country together. It's big enough for everybody. But a succession of Burma governments has said, no, we're going to run this thing the way we want to. And the ethnics have said, no, you're not.
and thus the conflict ongoing.
Right.
You don't seem like the kind of guy who sits behind an office pecking on a keyboard all the time. You've been in and among the people a lot, would you say, over the years?
Yes. For the first 15 years of the Free Burma Rangers, I spent at least 8 months of every year in Burma.
Okay.
And the other 4 months in neighboring countries or other places. But in some years, almost the whole year in Burma.
And doing what? I know Free Burma Rangers has a strong medical arm. There's a rescue going on. What is, maybe describe a month or describe an experience in Burma. I'm
Right.
sure you got a few.
Well,
I've heard a few.
the intent is help people and get the news out. Tell the story. So when you go on a mission, helping the people means providing immediate medical and dental care. And if you can't solve the problem right then, evacuate them out. You have to carry them 2 or 3 weeks to a border to get them across.
weeks.
Sometimes, yes.
Wow. Okay.
And especially during fighting. So it's medical care, dental care, food, supplies, shelter, plastic tarps if their homes have been burned, blankets, whatever's needed depending on the season and the situation. That's the physical part. And then there's the emotional and combined with the spiritual part, which is kids programs to make kids happy for a day, education programs for kids, times to have fun, times to sing together. We have, this is called the Good Life Club my wife started, and every Free Burma Ranger team has a Good Life Club counselor. Well, Free Burma Rangers, a team has 5 people. Team leader, medic, Good Life Club counselor doing family programs, photographer and videographer. All these people together help people and get the news out. So you're helping them in different humanitarian ways, grounded in medicine. But you're also telling the story, and you're telling the story, one, to give people dignity, and do you care? I want to hear what happened to you, man. You lost your home, you lost your wife. What happened? God knows, and we're going to help the world know. What they do about it, we can't control, but we will put a light on what's happening. And that's good for you. It's good for us. It helps people to pray, because I believe in the power of prayer. It also helps people know the problem and help send funds for food or medicine, and not just to us, but to anybody who's helping in that area. Another purpose it has is to show governments, the United Nations, other around the world, what crimes are being perpetrated by the Burma army consistently, year after year, how these things haven't changed and why they need to stop, why political pressures need to be put against the attackers until the attack stop. It also is a way to show the attackers themselves, the Burma army. You know, every soldier generally wants to be a hero. But if you see the report comes out that you burned a village and you killed a pregnant lady, you don't feel like a hero. Well, that's good to know the truth. You can have it, you go, no, this isn't working for me. And so it's not just to show the world what's happening, it's to turn the mirror back inside Burma and say, this is not as good as we could be. And I don't believe we're against the Burma government. We're for people. We're for people in the Burma government, for people in the ethnic areas. But whoever is being attacked, we stand with them.
Yes. I like how you keep bringing it back to the simplicity of standing with those, well, it sounds like true religion. Standing up for the widow, for the orphan, and the like, for those who have lost homes, internally displaced. Now, you've told me before of these, times when you're in a real, describe a difficult situation, because sometimes you're talking about you want to show love, you want to show peace. You want to express the love of God. Well, that's not always received. And then when you're in a position where people are not even interested in what you have to share, you come under attack, whatever, if there's AK-47 bullets ringing along your legs. I mean, does that deter you from this passion to continue loving God and loving others as yourself? Or does it kind of inspire you to go at it even stronger?
I think it's probably true for all of us. When we're faced with challenges or obstacles, they can make us angry, they can frustrate us, they can make us afraid, depending on the nature of what it is. All these things can cause us to stop and say, what am I doing here? Is it worth it? I'm going to die here. Or I'm just wasting my time. I got better things to do. I think those are the times to say to God, did you really want me here? Was it pride that brought me here, or some mushy sense of emotionalism? I'm going to save somebody, or they need help, I'm the answer, or even just a good feeling of, I need to help these people. If it was a false motive of misplaced motion or pride, or even fear that brought me here, or anger, I'm going to make things right.
Yeah.
If it's not of you, God, I want to, please take it away. And so that I take those always as opportunities to ask God, am I supposed to be here?
Yeah.
But then if I feel that peace inside, that sure feeling, yeah, you're supposed to be here, then I say, okay, in Jesus' name, you can't stop me. I mean, I'll say that. I'll say it in my mind. To all the demons and devils that you can't see with your eyes, and to those you can see with your eyes, I will sometimes silently say, in Jesus' name, you can't stop me either. If you don't want to be my friend, it's okay. I'm not God. I'm just a little man. Plenty of bad things about me, but you will not stop me, because I don't work for you, man. I work for God.
Yeah.
And so when someone takes the things I've given and is not grateful, or uses them to hurt others, or does something terrible to the point where I don't want to work with them anymore, if God told me to be there, then I remember, you know what? Doesn't matter really this person's response. Because I don't work for them. I work for Him. And if He tells me, serve this person, no matter their attitude, I'm going to keep serving them. I give you a glass of water, you pour it out. I give you a glass of water and a kid a glass of water, you steal it from the kid. I'll keep giving the water, because it's not dependent on your actions. It's dependent on what God told me to do.
Yeah.
That, it gives us freedom and power that we don't have to have our skin so sensitive when people attack us, because we're all the same. When someone criticizes me or is not grateful, I get mad like that fast. But if I say, Jesus, did you want me here? And the answer is yes, then it's okay then. My skin suddenly becomes very thick. Not that I don't care.
Yeah.
It's that my care is in the right place. My heart is still soft. My skin is thick. I can keep giving love because He keeps refilling. I work for Him.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons why I included you in my recent book, The Mind of a Missionary.
Thanks for that. I love that book.
I thought it was funny, your response to the chapter that I wrote. I think it's chapter 6 or 7. Is called A Posture of Expectancy. And I was kind of exploring these ideas of many times difficulties along the way in the missionary journey. You have this internal kind of expectation of yourself. I should be doing this, or I hope that I can. What if I fail? Will I succeed? Then you got this outer expectation, the church, you're sending church, maybe friends and peers want numbers and you can't provide them. I wrote a chapter about you called This Posture of Expectancy, because I remember we ran into each other in a U.S. consulate.
Yes.
And you had just been back from Iraq. You still had shrapnel in your arm, or maybe your leg too, I can't recall. And you're telling me these stories, it was riveting. And you had recently been on the news, a number of different stations, November 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe
Right. It was that kind of the whole year.
Yeah.
But I think it was
Okay.
November when I saw you.
That's right, yeah. And, then I got called in, got my passports taken care of, and then I came back out, and there you are sleeping on your wife's lap. And it spoke to me about what you're describing now. You're not always going to be in this, you're experiencing trauma, but you could also relax, take a nap, and get on with it. And so I love that about you. Can you describe a little bit more of that? What is that posture of expectancy like?
Well, I feel like I'm a happy warrior.
A happy warrior.
Yeah. And I believe I'm happy when I'm obeying God. And He's made us all differently. Eric Liddell, the Olympic gold medalist, runner, and later missionary, he said, God made me fast. I feel His pleasure when I run. And I believe God has made all of us fast in different ways. And so when we're operating in that, as long as we keep giving it back to Him, we'll be happy. We may be doing things that other people go, man, that's dangerous, or that's not fun. No, I love it. I have friends who work in China, and I was like, I wouldn't want to work there, or in India. I don't want to work there. They love it because God made them to be able to work there and thrive. Not survive, man, they thrive. And so I thank God that he's given myself and my family opportunities to work in areas that we thrive, that we love. Because we're not good at everything. We're good at a couple of little things, and we love doing them. And so helping people in need, helping people in conflict areas, I love it. It doesn't make me too tired. And if I get tired, I go to sleep, wake up, and do it again.
That's why you're in the mind of a missionary, posture of expectancy. Talk to me about this. The reason Free Burma Rangers, you specifically, I think, gained some notoriety. I'm sure you detest that term because I.
That's notoriety. Yeah, it's like, remember the Three Amigos, the movie?
Yeah.
Where, hey, you guys aren't famous, you're infamous. What does that mean? That's more than famous.
That's more than famous. Does that describe you, David Eubank? More than famous?
I don't know. I think the counter would be who?
Well, I think that's what you're talking about. Everybody's fast or everybody's good at some. We all have a part to play. And I think some people might prop you up and put you on a pedestal because the role that your family is doing, it's unique. I mean, the honest truth from an objective perspective is very unique. Not many people are going to be doing that. What happened around 2017, just before, I guess, I saw you, and I think it was in Iraq that you rescued a little girl. Can you tell me about that story?
Yeah. I think it's important. We've been in Burma now 25 years, but at about the 20-year mark, we were in Shan State on a relief mission, and the Burma Army is all around us trying to get us. And I got a message from a friend, an American missionary friend named Victor Marks, and he goes, Dave, you got these great teams in Burma, you got Karen medics, you knew them, and they're not that afraid, you don't have a lot of safety rules, come and help in Kurdistan. ISIS has surrounded the Kurds and they're in big trouble. So I prayed, and he said, be there in 7 days. I'm like, be there in 7 days? It took me 19 days to elude the Burma Army, and then I still got to cross the international border. Then I still got to get to an airport. It means almost a month. And we were going 20, 30 miles a day walking. So how am I going to get back in 7 days? It was one of those easy ones. We got the whole team together, all the ethnic guys, my wife and kids, prayed and said, well, yeah, if God wants it, of course we'll go. No way.
Yeah.
The next morning, the 3 Burma Army battalions, over 1,000 men that had been in front of us trying to catch us, went out of our way, opened a gap to the border, and got on our 19-day loop that we'd done to avoid them, but opened up the very short way back, maybe 80 miles.
Wow.
So we just went day and night, straight to the border. Anyways, 7 days later, I was in Iraq. And I remember asking God when I was there, looking at the black flag of ISIS and the Nineveh plains, same place Jonah had been. God, what did I do here? I mean, we're jungle people. We're decent in the jungle because there's not a lot to compare us with. But we're not first string, man. We're like fifth string. And this is a mechanized modern country in Iraq with oil and hospitals and infrastructure. And they're Muslim and they speak Arabic. I don't know Muslims very much. I don't speak Arabic. I'd be useless. What do you want me to do, God? And I felt God speak to me clear as a bell. Give up your own way. Give up the Free Burma Ranger way. And just come help these people. Kind of like a dad, you're working with your dad on a house all day, every day, and he goes, son, I want you to stop. For the next month, that old lady across the street, whatever she tells you to do, go do it. Really? Okay. So that's how we started there. And we first were the Kurds and the Yazidis up on Sinjar Mountain, and then later in the Battle of Mosul, by then it was 2000. We started in the beginning of 2015.
Okay.
And we're there. I would start spending most of my year in the Middle East in the battles of ISIS, while my other leaders were running the Burma missions. I'd go back to Burma maybe 2-3 times a year, graduate relief team, go on a short mission, and go straight back to the Middle East with my family.
So your family is with you there
With
in the
me
Middle East as well?
most of the time.
Okay.
And usually they'd be not right on the front line, they'd be back behind at a casualty collection point, or in the tents with the displaced people. Or
I was going to say, they're
living.
still part of the story in an extreme way. I mean, caring for medical needs or...
Well, my daughter was driving an armored ambulance. They've all been under fire, mortar, machine gun, everything. And I just thank God they haven't been killed. We were feeding people, and suicide bombers tried to come up and blow our family up. In the middle of the fighting, there weren't that many lines once you're in the Battle of Mosul. ISIS come anyways. But we were fortunate, my family and volunteers, well, from here didn't die. One of my volunteers did die. 4 of us were wounded. I was wounded 4 times in the Battle of Mosul. But the incident you're talking about, I think, was on June the 2nd, 2017, near Shifa Hospital on the west side of Mosul. And we were with the Iraqi army at that point. Our family helping the civilians as they broke out, and then my daughter's driving the ambulances back and forth along with my team. And I had a rotating group of 8 medics from Burma, These are Karen, Kachin, Sean, Karenni. And they had about 10 foreign volunteers, mostly Americans, but we had French, we had different people. And we formed a little medical group that moved with the Iraqi elements on the assault. And me and maybe 4 or 5 guys would be with the assault elements. You could treat wounded right away. And the rest of the team maybe 500 yards back or a half a mile back in a more stable place, a blown up building or something, where we'd move the casualties to, or send the families to once they broke out. Because families are all under ISIS. So one particular day, June the 3rd, there was a street, it's a highway that comes in over the northernmost bridge of Mosul. And ISIS held a hospital on the highway, just on the west side, and the bridge is blown up. And they had anti-tank systems, machine guns, rockets, mortars, everything. And they stopped the Iraqi army cold. And I was with the unit that got stopped cold. We had 22 casualties just in a couple hours. Wow. And we got beat on that. So the Iraqi army tried to move around and attack them from another side, and they got beat. They blew up tanks, they blew up armored bulldozers, Humvees, and shot a lot of people. So it was kind of a stalemate at that particular moment. We came up, and then civilians saw, they thought they had a chance to break free from ISIS, started running down trying to cross this highway near the hospital, and ISIS started shooting at the civilians. A total of 150 civilians were killed in this one street in 2 days. Amongst the dead bodies, as we stuck our head out in the street, as soon as you stick your head out, ISIS is shooting, boom, 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 boom. And I could see, the destroyed armored vehicles. You couldn't even take a tank on that street. And I looked among the dead, and this is really horrible. Then I realized among the dead, there's something moving. There were 7 kids alive among the dead bodies against a wall. But if any kid stepped away from the wall, because the wall, the way the angle of the wall was in the hospital and another soft drink factory that ISIS held, the way this particular wall was inside the road, if they didn't move, they wouldn't get shot. But if they stepped away from the wall, they'd get shot. So one by one, these 7 kids were shot. We had no way to save them.
Well, because it's going on day number 2, 3, maybe.
This is day number 3 now. This is day number 3.
They're thirsty.
We actually showed up there the 3rd day. We didn't know that, but they'd already been shot for a while. And these kids were amongst all the dead bodies, their moms and dads. They wouldn't leave their dead moms and dads. I remember one, maybe a 2-year-old with no pants, trying to wake up, probably was his parent, and then boom, he's killed. But you couldn't just run out. From where we were looking across at an angle, it was 150 yards of open ground, swept by machine gun fire, rockets, and mortars. So you couldn't even get an armored vehicle. I remember just praying, what do I do? What do I do? Yeah. Now, by now, I'd already been wounded. I'd fought ISIS many times. We'd done 5 rescues already under fire. We had a lot of experience, but this was like, there's no way. We went earlier right into the heart of an ISIS neighborhood to rescue one kid that was trapped in a building that collapsed in an airstrike. We fought our way in with the Iraqi army, blasting at ISIS around us and got him out. But this was different. There was no way we could do this. So I remember praying. Then I got on the phone, my little iPhone, and I had a good relationship with the American military. I used to be in the military. And the generals that were in charge, they were my friends. And they were also followers of Jesus. And I said, man, I need help. What do you need? I described the situation. They said, we'll give you smoke. I said, that's what I need is smoke. Because my idea is we'll obscure the vision of ISIS. Then I'll get the Iraqis to give me a tank and a bulldozer. And then I'll follow it with my arm. We had a Humvee, armored Humvee. And the plan is the smoke comes down so ISIS has a hard time shooting. The tank goes first to blast at ISIS. The bulldozer armor goes behind the tank to open a way. The Humvees come behind. Mine actually, I was going to borrow another Iraqi army. We'd go up to this wall where the remaining survivors were, quickly put them in a Humvee and come back. But as it turned out, the Iraqi army armored vehicles were so heavily engaged in other battles, they had none to spare. And they said, even if we had one, if we gave it to you, it'd get destroyed. So by now, only one little girl was left alive because she was hiding under her dead mother. She'd just peek out under their dead mom's hijab, little scarf thing every now and then she'd hide under the body.
Looking at
us.
Wow. So you're seeing these 2 little eyes. What goes through your mind?
I know. I want to cry when I think about it right now. I think that's my kid. I think that's... I think I love that kid and I want to help him. And you just run out there, you're dead. You don't help anybody. There wasn't just her, though. There was 2 men that were shot. They were also hiding. They were hardly moving. And I realized there's 2 live guys, too. They were shot multiple times. She wasn't shot. I didn't know that yet. Okay. She's hiding under her dead mom. She's peeked up and go like this. So finally, I couldn't get in a lot of movement. So finally I called the Americans again. I said, look, just start dropping. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon by now. Just start dropping smoke. I'm going to try to get the Iraqis to give me something. And I went back to the Iraqi commander, and he goes, there's no way, man. It's a fool's errand. I'm really sorry, but there's no way. And these guys they know what they're talking about. They've been fighting for years. Yeah. They're not cowards at all. And I said, if Allah tells you to give me the support I need, will you do it? He goes, yes. So I held his hand and I said, Allah, please tell this commander what you want him to do. Not what I want, what you want. In Isa's name, in Yeshua name, in Jesus' name. Amen. He opened his eyes. I said, what did God tell you? What did Allah tell you? He said, 1 tank.
Sounds like the radio signal became clear at that moment. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God.
So they gave you 1 tank.
1 tank. Well, that wasn't my plan. My plan was tank,
Yes.
bulldozer clears the rubble so the Humvees can come. It's a very quick movement. Open the doors. They're armored. You only have to reach out maybe a foot under fire, get everybody out and go back. But that's it. Take it or leave it. So I turned to my guys and I said, no one has to come. Volunteers only. And one of my ethnic guys goes, monkey volunteers. And Monkey's my chop pastor and my video guy. He goes, stop saying that is not meaning a volunteer. You can't volunteer me. Okay, but I'm supposed to go because I've been telling God I would not go this whole day. If there's a rescue, I'm not going to follow Tawapa. That's me, follow the white monkey. I'm not going to follow that guy. We're going to die.
The white monkey.
But I know that God wants me to go, so I give up. I go. So 5 of us went. Myself, Monkey, my chief pastor he's a Crinny, one of the original Rangers, a new volunteer named Sky, ex-Marine, and an ex-SEAL named Ephraim Matos, great guy, and a new translator, because my translator had been killed about 2 weeks before. Shaheen, I was very close to him, shot right next to me and killed. But we had this new translator who didn't really know what he's getting into. He's from Syria. He'd already fled Syria. But I want to help the Rangers. Well, this is the first and last dangerous thing he did with us, but he did it. So we all got together and said the Lord's Prayer together. And then I just said, whoever wants to go, go. We ran behind this 1 tank, but there was smoke coming. And we ran behind this tank, terrifying. Because now you have no armor to be in, and bullets are cracking all around us from 3 different sides, in front, to the front right, and to the right. And we run down behind this tank, get to the edge of this wall where this girl was hiding in her dead mom, and the smoke started to dissipate. And I called the Americans, give me more, man, because we're going to lose the tank, we're going to lose us, we're going to lose these people, because now ICE is just mortar, RPG, machine guns, rifles at us. And the tank's firing its main gun back, the coaxial machine gun, and then we got more smoke from the Americans, and I told Sky and Ephraim, I said, give me cover, I'm going to go get this girl. And I remember thinking, I'm probably going to die, but my wife and kids will understand why I did this, to save a kid. They'll be sad, but they'll know it was the right thing. And I also thought, I thought before this, if that was my kid there, and someone said, Dave, I see your kid under fire, but if I go help her, I'll die, I would say, please try. Even if you die, please try. Yeah. So I had these thoughts, and I just said, Jesus, help me. And I ran. And bullets all around me from ISIS, and then Ephraim and Sky stepped out and just shot back at ISIS to add to the fire from the tank, just to put anything he could down. I got to the girl, I was amazed. I'm not shot yet, and I picked her up. I fell down. Either bullets hit these rocks that was all rubble, or I just slipped, I don't know which. But I remember falling down but not letting go of that girl, because I didn't know what would happen if I let go of her. Boom, and I had to pull her off her dead mom. She's clinging to the dead mother, 3 days. And I ran back with her in my arms, and I was just saying, thank you, Jesus. Wow. We're not done yet. And then I see those 2 men. So I gave the girl to Mahmoud, and I said, let's go get the 2 men. We went, and with Sky and Ephraim's help, we got the 2 men, drugged them back. Tank starts backing up. We're taking more fire. One of my guys drops one of the men, and then he gets shot. Ephraim gets shot in the leg. The man that we dropped, he gets killed. Now we only got 1 man left and the girl. I've got the girl back. And Sky and Mahmoud are dragging the 1 man. Ephraim shot through the leg, is limping and trying to return fire. Monkey's filming the whole thing. And we back up behind this tank. And then when we get down the road about 150 yards, we need to turn. The tank's still firing its main gun to support us. And I yell for a Humvee to come. And one of my friends who's a journalist, not even officially part of our team, who'd said the day before, Dave, teach me how to drive a Humvee. It might be useful one day. Well, he was the first guy to respond, jumped in the Humvee, drove out under fire, bullets pinging off the Humvee. French journalist. Wow. Doors wouldn't close, and picked us up. We all got out. My daughter, who also filmed part of this because she also is a videographer, but when she's not driving her ambulance, she was 16 at the time, so Haley. She jumps in the vehicle with me. I said, honey, give me water for this little girl. That little girl put down 6 bottles.
Whoa.
And then as we drove to the casualty collection point, I called my wife, who's at the casualty collection point, and said, honey, I got a little kid. been hiding under dead mom for 3 days. She needs a mom. So got there. Ephraim, who was shot through the leg, was treated there. He's okay. It's a through and through. The girl was not shot. The man that we did rescue was shot multiple times, but he was okay. And that rescue was over in a sense, but it wasn't. Because as we're there, some Iraqi policeman came up and said to the man that we rescued, "That's ISIS guy." I said, "No, he's not. He's got shot by ISIS. If he was, he's not anymore. No, we're gonna take care of him right now. He's execute him."
Wow.
And I said, he's a patient in a hospital, man. And besides, we just risked our lives to save him. One of my guys was shot saving him. You can interrogate him after. He's not going anywhere. And they were really mad. No. And I said, "I'm not challenging you." I was sitting on the ground. By now, I'd grabbed the guy. They drug him out of the hospital, ripped the IVs out of his arm. He's bleeding from his wounds where he'd been shot. Plus, it's like this, and he's terrified. And I grabbed him and sat down, and I hugged him. And I said, "I'm not going to let him go. And I'm not challenging you. Don't worry. I'm just a little American. You guys are in charge. It's your country. But one, it gets us against the law of war. You got a shot, unarmed guy. You don't know who he belonged to. You got to treat him first. Then you can interrogate him. Second, it's against God's law. We don't really know. Don't worry. You can always kill him later if he's ISIS. But right now, you don't know. Third, we gave our lives for him. One of my guys was shot. I'm not going to let him go." And as I held him, tears came to my eyes, and love for him came from me. And then I started laughing because I feel like a tree hugger, because hugging the trees. So I was hugging a guy. And I thought, hey, I've become one of those. I'm just hugging him. I'm not letting him go. And I tried to do it in a way that wasn't, "I'm not challenging you, man. I'm not a tough guy. I just don't want to let this guy go." And they finally acquiesced. And I got some help from some of the doctors. And they said, "Okay, we'll treat him, then they'll question him." So he's put back in. And then we went home that night, which is the blown up building we were operating out of.
Yeah, home.
Iraqi general came in, General Mustafa, and he said, "We heard you rescued a girl today." I said, "Yeah, there she is." And he picked her up and he started crying. And one gift I had, months later we found out, her family's dead, but months later we were able to find her grandmother and grandfather and reunite her, and we've seen her since then. Her name is Demoa, which means tear.
Demoa. Really? Wow.
So her story has a happy, none of our lives have an ending until we go to Jesus, but it has a happy place now.
Yes.
She's starting again. But one gift that I feel God gave me in the Battle of Mosul was to love the Iraqis. People like General Mustafa, who risked his life and cared about even his enemies. I saw that again and again. I thought, these are wonderful people. I love them. Another gift God gave me was to teach me the difference between justice and revenge. We all want justice. We all hate it when we're treated unjustly or see injustice. But how you respond will determine whether it's justice you're going to get or revenge. And the only difference is love. And that means God, as mad as I am as a perpetrator, as right as I have to be mad, as much as they need to change, I care about them too. I don't want to care about them. It helped me care about them so that the punishment actually helps them. And we look at life that way, and for me, it's impossible without Jesus. The first part of what I said, you could say is a religion or a philosophy, but it's not a powerful enough one to change my heart, because I've been hurt, and all of us have been hurt. And when we're really hurt, I don't think philosophy or religion changes it. But when we say, "Jesus, help me," he has the power to change us, and he helps us to deal with even our enemies.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, that got into a sermon.
Hey, well, that's what I wanted. And when you tell that story, it reminds me of a conversation I recently had with a man named Nick Ripken. He's the author of Insanity of God. And he said some striking things, as you're saying some striking things, saying, are we better than? Are we the same as an ISIS, an Al-Qaeda? Are we not deserving of the greatest punishment because of our supposedly menial sins or great sins? Is sin not sin? Are we not sinners in the hands of a living God? And do we not deserve justice? So you paint this almost strange messianic story with this, as if we are all just lost, and love truly does trump all these things. And then you tell the story of a 4 or 5-year-old girl, I imagine she was, that was rescued?
5-year-old.
5. Was she worth it? Was she worth risking your life, your family's life, maybe the whole organization, Free Burma Rangers? I mean, it seems to me she had this incredible value at that moment to you, and it's telling of this image of God, saying, if there was no one else, you, David, you, so-and-so, you'd be worth it. Is that kind of a microcosm of the gospel, what you just described?
Yeah, that's it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about something, pride and anger, fear. These are bad guides and they're bad motives. Mm-hmm. But love is never crazy. Never. Real love, once you've really make sure that's what it is, real love is never crazy. And it's never a waste. George Orwell, this great writer, he was fought in the Spanish Revolution against the dictator Franco. He was on the side of the free people. And while he was there, one of his best friends was killed by the communists who were his allies. So his friend was killed by a friend, supposedly. And he was himself, George Orwell, shot in the throat and almost died. And his side lost. Franco won. The Nazis came and helped Franco. This is in the 30s, right before World War II. So when he got back to England, then he was blacklisted because he'd helped this other little revolutionary movement that wasn't on England's radar, nor America's. So it wasn't approved. So his friend said, George, what a waste of your life. You're now blacklisted. You can't work in this country again. You're considered, wrong. Second, you almost got killed. Third, your best friend was killed by your own allies. Fourth, your cause lost. Wasn't it a waste? And he said, it's never a waste to stand for human dignity. So when you stand for someone who's in trouble, not based on how good they are, where they came from, what they did right or wrong, just who they are as a human, when you stand for them, for freedom, for love, that's always worth it. And we don't get to choose what will happen after. Am I going to make it? Am I going to survive? Will I be rewarded or punished? You don't know. But I do know this. When you choose that in love, God gives you that power of love and that freedom of commitment that comes with it, that I'm free to go, man. I'm free to try this.
Yeah.
And one thing that in retrospect, I always think of this because I believe it's true. Nothing truly precious is eternally lost.
Nothing truly precious
is eternally lost. So the things of this world are definitely fatal. They're not final. So whatever is truly precious here that we're going to miss in the meantime while it's gone and we're here, or we're gone and it's here, you're going to see it again if it's truly precious. So you don't have to worry. You can't cling on to things. You don't need to cling on. You're going to get them back if they're really precious. So that means you can afford to lose. You can afford to obey God. You can afford to love.
That really, everything you're saying kind of just seems to be kind of a focal point on the eternal. All these tangible things are so menial, are so silly at times. They don't have eternal value. They have some value, they have some worth. They do things for us, but the eternal things, this eternal perspective, it seems that you're pointing us towards is striking and strangely messianic and something, but it's told in a way that that we rarely ever hear. We've kind of boxed God into such beautiful little compartments, and he is so wildly different than we imagine him to be. And I'm so thankful that you get to be a small glimpse, maybe a facet that we don't actually see of the gospel in action, because it's generally not told this way. It's told very tamed. But then you think of Aslan the lion. Oh, he's good, but he's not tame.
Yeah.
And seems to me that's what would your encouragement to be? Because not everybody's going to run out into battle in Iraq. They're not going to travel extra legally across the border into Burma. But we each have a story to tell, and every citizen of God's kingdom is significant. What would you tell to that person who feels like, man, I want to take the next step to love unconditionally, to love beyond my capabilities or boundaries? What's your encouragement? How do they take that first step?
Obey God at all cost. And if you didn't, you can always start. It's never too late. God is the creator, always creating. It doesn't matter what happened before. Well, actually, it does matter, but it doesn't stop God. Right? It doesn't end the story. So I think listen to God and obey God and act in love. And if you didn't, try again. Never give up on it. And he'll give you the power. He'll give you the power to do it.
I love that grace that you seem to be putting forward. I pray more grace on Free Burma Rangers. In fact,
Thanks.
people can go to freeburmarangers.org
Yeah.
to find out more about you. Any other thing that you would love to invite people? Now, there's a movie coming out, I believe, a documentary called Free Burma Rangers. Is that true?
It's called The Free Burma Rangers. It's a
Yes.
documentary.
Okay.
It'll be premiered in New York at the Justice Film Festival on 16 November. Whoever's there can go. And then it will come out in theaters for a couple days in February, between 25th and 27th of February.
Next year,
2020.
Okay.
Then after that, it'll be out in DVDs, or I don't know where it'll go on the. We'll definitely have it out, but whether it goes on Netflix or Hulu or whatever,
Yeah.
it'll go somewhere.
Awesome.
That's out of my hands. So that story will come out, premiered in November, then come out in February. I'm working on a book right now.
Are you? Wow.
About
I'm
the
so
Battle of
happy
Mosul.
to hear that. Are
Yeah,
you? Okay,
I am.
excellent.
I don't think I'm as good a writer as you,
Oh,
but
come
I'll
on.
tell a story.
Well, I was homeschooler to the rescue.
Yeah,
Come on.
your book is tough. Your book is tough because you actually have to think about things. You're teaching people. Mine's a little simpler. I'm just telling a story of what I saw happen.
Well, that's what I did about you. I just used you as an example.
Thanks.
So, but I'm excited about that. When that book comes out, I'm going to be plugging it. You could believe.
Great.
believe
Well,
that.
if you don't mind, I'm going to send you a very rough edit.
Okay, I would love
And-
to see that.
We tell our stories, you and me, to encourage people to follow Jesus, not to follow us.
Yeah.
There's a time and place that I need to follow you, stuff you know about, maybe something I know about. But that's just the mechanical stuff.
Yeah.
The real Savior, the real one who won't fail us, is Jesus, and that's who we point people to, and that's whose mercy I depend on.
And he's the one who lives outside of the dimensions of space and time. He can see the bigger picture. We're so locked into the now, the present. Don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well,
Or
a
in the
story
next
I
10
didn't
days.
tell was when ISIS killed a little kid right next to me, and I started to hate. But I didn't think it was that. I called it justice.
Yeah.
And I had to give that up. And I said, Jesus, I give up revenge. And man, it was like a 2,000-pound weight lift off my shoulder. I didn't even know. Most sins I do, I know when I'm sinning. Ignore it, but I can know something's wrong.
This
I'll
felt
know.
like righteous indignation or something.
Oh man, I was so consumed with it. But when I asked Jesus about it, I opened the Bible. It said, "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord, I will repay. I realized what I was doing is revenge, cloaked in justice. Had no love in it. And he took that away from me, and he gave me peace, and he gave me the ability to love and show love and pray for even ISIS members. So that's a miracle of God.
Yeah. Well, I just so appreciate you taking some time today to
Thanks.
encourage, to inspire people to realize that they do have an imperative, integral role to play. I think that's what it is. You have your story, and God has, before your days even began, He's written His story, written your life into His book before one of them came to be. And all of us have this part to play, each of us uniquely inclined to something or some purpose. And so I pray that people would be encouraged and inspired today through that.
Thanks. Well, all of us can only be at one place at one time. So all of us, billions in the world, whatever the number is, we can only be at one place at one time. Each of us can only do this thing. Someone else can't do it. We have an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You're at the gas station. You're at immigration. You're at the air ticket line. You have a chance to share God's love with those people. All of us do, and that's all unique. And only you can do it. No one else is standing there. No one else is there. And you see someone who needs help. No one else is going to help. Are you going to do it or not? All of us have these opportunities.
Yeah. So there you have it. People are waiting at the other end of our obedience.
Thank
David, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you, Dave.
appreciate it. Blessings.
God bless you all. Thanks.
Missions Pulse. Know God's heart, join His mission. This podcast is powered by Within Reach Global. Subscribe, watch, and listen on YouTube today. Visit missionspulse.com.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought. Also, you might want to check out this video here. And honestly, that one's not bad either. Make sure you subscribe to Missions Pulse by clicking the subscribe button right here, and also click that little bell button so you get notified every single time we post a new video.